I had just finished doing a timing belt on this vehicle. It's Honda 2.3 liter F23. I was checking the cooling system. I wanted to purge it, get all the air out. Coolant reservoir bottle was actually overflowing and bubbling. Looked at the gauge real quick on the inside on instrument cluster, instrument panel, and it was all the way pegged at H hot. So I shut it down, confirmed that the fans were not working. I've seen this happen quite a few times on Hondas where the fans don't come on. I'm going to show you how to diagnose it today. It's a pretty simple fix, just a matter of diagnosing it correctly. And to diagnose it, all you need is little jumper wires like this. I'm going to show you how I diagnosed it, but let me show you that the fans do work after I plug this into a certain spot, and we'll go from there. You heard the fans kick on? They are running. So let me show you how to diagnose it. First thing I like to do when I realize that the fans are not working is I'll actually come here. You can see this is top view of the fans, the radiator. There's one connector here, there's one connector here, and what I will do is I will pull these connectors out and run power directly from the battery to the fan. These are just 12 volt fans, and I want to confirm that the fans are actually working before I start ripping everything apart, because if the fans don't work, there's your problem right there. The fans don't work, you're not going anywhere. So let's get this plug off as well. Okay, that's off. Okay, now what you're going to want to do is you can see this is part of the wiring harness. This side goes to the fan. So what you want to do is determine which one is ground. Ground is black. The blue one right there is your power, your 12 volt. So if you plug it in, you can just, process of elimination, you can determine that the ground wire is on this side, the power wire is on this side. That's your first step. That's what you want to determine first, if the fan works. Like I said, if the fan does not work, then you're replacing the fan. So let's do that right now. One thing you need to note before you do this test is you need to keep the key to the on position in the vehicle. So the engine's not running, but the key is not all the way off, it's just in the on position. That way you know you're getting power to the system to test all these things. So just make note of that before you begin these tests. So I have a jumper lead here. I'm going to ground this one. Just has alligator clips on it. You guys can see that, alligator clips. So I'll go ahead and reach in there. See if I can get the alligator clip to get on. Okay, yeah, here we go. Sorry, I'm not showing this to you, but you'll see it when you get in there. Okay, now I'm going to ground this anywhere. Okay, make sure this wiring is clear just in case the fan does work. You don't want to rip your lead apart. Okay, I put the alligator clip there and I grounded it, and I'm going to bring in a where'd my flashlight go? I'm going to bring a lead in, basically a bare wire that I stripped out, and then touch it to the other connector. This is 12 volts going right into the fan to see if the fan works. So the fan does work with 12 volts applied. So we'll test this is actually the driver's side. So next we'll test the passenger side as well, just to make sure. Make sure that this bare wire, there's 12 volts coming through here. If you touch it anything, it's going to spark, so just keep that in mind. Okay, moving the ground one over, make sure the wires are clear. Touch it to the other side. Okay, both fans work. We just basically applied 12 volts to the system, to the fans, and they're both working, so we know it's not the fan, so we're going to move on. Keep diagnosing it, find out why the fans are not coming on like they should. When they get to a certain temperature, I believe it's, I want to say, I think between 190 and 210, the fan should come on, start cooling the system. So let's go to the next step. Next step will be to check the fuses, and then we'll swap a relay and see if they come on that way. I'll go ahead and plug these back in. Now we know the fans are working, so that's a good thing. These little fans can get a little expensive. I don't know off the top of my head, but they're not cheap. It also looks like somebody has been in here because this fan has just been dangling. Looks like 3 of the bolts are missing. And the one here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but the one way over here is not even in all the way. They just cross-threaded it to have it stay. So maybe somebody's been in here recently. But let's go to the electrical part. While the vehicle is still warm, what you want to check next is the fuse box. Make sure that the relay, we're actually going to switch relays, and we're going to check the fuse for the cooling fans. It's a 20 amp fuse. We should have power there, and once we check that, we'll go to the relay. We'll swap relays on these type of vehicles, and a lot of manufacturers use the same relays for different things. So for example, you have a relay that works for the AC system. For the fuel pump relay, you'll have a relay that works for the cooling fan relay. Typically those relays are the same, and the reason being is if you're out there, you know, stuck on the side of the road and your fuel pump relay goes out, for example, you can use your AC relay and swap them out, and you'll be able to get your fuel pump running, and you'll be able to get home. You won't have air conditioning, but you'll be able to get, you know, back home. So that's typically what they do. Next we'll check this 20 amp fuse, make sure we have power there. The main relay. Sits here on the passenger side of the vehicle on the firewall, so I have a test light here. So I'll go ahead and I'll test the 20 amp fuse. Put this on ground. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, there you go. 20 amp. So we're going to check that. What you're looking at is a close-up view of the fuse box. Also call it a fuse panel. So right here, that is a 20 amp fuse. So go ahead and stick your test light. Make sure the ignition is on. You have power there. You have power on that side. So you know the fuse is good. Next thing we're going to do is check the relay. We're not actually going to check it. What I'm going to do is swap it out. Like I said before, this engine is warm and at temperature, so if it is the relay and I switch this thing around, it should start. Before I do that, you can find the diagram on top of the cover for the relay, for the fuse box. It's this relay right here, but what I like to do, start switching relays around, is I'm going to go ahead and mark this. I'm going to put an X, whatever, you can put whatever you want on it. So there it is, it's marked. I'm going to go ahead and pull that one out. And I put way too much fluid on here. I wiped it off. There's a fuel pump relay, or the cooling fan relay, so I'm going to swap it out. But like I said before I do, I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So if I can get that into focus. I'm going to mark it right there. Okay, so just so I can know, you can keep track of it. But once you start moving relays around, it gets kind of hard to keep track of them, because they all look the same. Or you can mark it with a knife. Take a knife, just score it, make an X, or whatever you want to do. Just some way to recognize that it's the relay that you took out. I believe it's an AC clutch relay. It says MG clutch relay. Because if I wanted to, I could look that up online. So if it had been the relay at this point, we would have heard the fans come on. And they didn't come on, so we could even do it again to be sure. Here's the one that we marked up that originally came out, so take that aside, bring this one back. We'll take this one out, which is your condenser fan relay, and put it in there. And nothing, so we know it's not the relay. So we're eliminating as we go. So right now we've tested the fans, those are working. We tested the fuse, that's working, and now we swapped out relays, and the fans have not kicked on. So the last thing, and typically what I find on these vehicles, on the Honda Acura vehicles, that it's the thermal fan switch. Let me show you how to test that. It's located on the passenger side. I'll take you in for a closer look. It's this switch right here. Alright. The lower radiator hose comes in right at this junction, and the switch sits onto the junction box, the lower radiator hose connection, inlet, outlet. So the switch is right there. So go ahead. There's a plastic tang you gotta squeeze together, wiggle it back and forth, and pop it out. What we're gonna do is we're gonna bridge those two together, making a solid connection, and that will tell us whether or not this switch is bad. This one right here. Alright, what we're going to do is bridge that connector, or actually not the connector, the wiring harness. We're going to use a little, come on, focus. I'm going to use a little, just took a piece of wire, strip the ends off, and make sure you have the engine, the key to the on position. And let's see if we can get this fans to kick on. So take your connector. So as you can see, we bridged it right there. The fans did come on, so you know your switch, your thermal fan switch is bad. So I'm going to replace that, start the car up again, purge all the air out of the system. We should be good to go. To get this thing out, first thing you want to do is make sure your ignition is to the off position. Take the key out all the way, and I just dropped it on the floor. Next thing you're going to need is a 1/2 inch deep 15/16 socket. So you guys can't read that. 15/16. So this is a 1/2 inch deep 15/16 socket. So go ahead, get that on. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Bring that down in. Let's see if I can break this loose. I guess you could do it with a wrench too. Just makes it a little bit more sense to try to get it this way. See if I broke it loose. Yep, it's loose. A little bit of coolant will come out when you do this. Now the other one, I have the new one ready. I'm just going to pop it in. Looks like the original one. So put that aside. Bring in the new guy. Just start this by hand. Alright, cool. Now tighten this thing up. Don't need to be He-Man, just tighten it up a little bit. Okay. Snug. The new one's in. So that's how you do it. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. So, hope you found this video helpful. Questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at BundysGarage@gmail.com. If this video has helped you out, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. And like always, I'll keep them rolling for you.